Hey, it's Joanna Hunter here for another episode of Into the LightWeb podcast, where we talk about everything under the LightWeb. And today I have got another wonderful client story. I am joined by my gorgeous client, Alyssa. Alyssa, welcome to the studio and come and introduce yourself and tell people what it is that you do in the world.
Thanks, Joanna. My name is Alyssa Mitchell, and I am a Feng Shui consultant and organization. But I also do spiritual life coaching, which I infuse with Feng Shui if the client wants that. And I do tarot card readings. So, among other things, I'm learning some new other things that I'll be sharing in the future. So it's a pretty exciting time right now.
Amazing, amazing. Tell us how you found me, how you first ended up in my world.
Um, this crazy, wonderful group of women who were in the law of attraction. Somehow I got invited into their Facebook group, and one of them reached out to me and said, "Hey, I think you'd really enjoy this." And it was your $1 million experience. um, and I looked at it, I'm like, well, it's a no-brainer. It's only $25. So I think I can do this. And then I knew another woman too who was going to be in it through another group. So that's how I got introduced, but I didn't last very long. I mean, I did, like, I started out with that, and then I read the book and it was great, but I kind of got lost in all of your other offerings. So it was a good introduction, though. It was a nice way to find you.
Amazing, amazing.
Mhm.
Tell us, while you were in the experiment, you then decided to jump deeper into my world. And what was your first kind of beyond the experiment? What was your first kind of delve? Where did you go next?
I believe it was LightWeb. I'm pretty sure it was LightWeb. And I now I a lot I have LightWeb, Unity, um, Divine Prophets. I think I've taken a couple other smaller courses, and they all blur together for me. So I apologize
That's okay.
if I
No,
call
no
it the wrong
worries.
thing. But but your teachings, not that they were completely unfamiliar, because I've been studying spirituality for many years, but the way you presented it resonated so much. And there was a lot of things you presented in a that was sort of new to me, but, like, again, it just hit so perfectly that it felt like I already knew that, but you were just rediscovering it for me. So yeah.
It's what I call the remembering,
Yeah.
because a lot of what I teach is what your soul already knows,
Yeah.
and it's bringing you home to that remembering, bringing you home to that knowledge once again.
Yeah.
Um, we've been on quite a journey together
Hmm.
in this whole kind of journey that we've been on together. What would you have said is like one of your kind of biggest kind of maybe takeaways, or one of the things that's kind of really shifted for you in the time that we've spent together over these last kind of 3 years?
Well, a lot has shifted, but I think one of the things in the 3 years has I've come to really embody a lot of the content, whereas before I knew it, it was cool, dabbled, but now it's become, I've really taken a lot of the lessons and into heart, and um to to actually walk the talk. And so I the biggest thing was when you kind of explained to me how to let go of our children. And because that was a huge thing during the last 3 years,
Yeah.
was my son, my autistic son, and the mental health journey that he had been on, and then blew up during our time. Really, he spiraled really far, and I was so in it, I could not see it. Like, I knew the pieces, but I couldn't implement it. And then there was, one time you were just letting go of trying to control all of that. was huge. Not only just letting him walk his journey because he was an adult by then, but more so of just surrendering and allowing the answers to come instead of trying to figure out what was wrong and fix it and all the things, because he was living in my house and driving me absolutely crazy. I couldn't work, I couldn't do anything because he was constantly pacing and seeking reassurance. This is OCD. Um, but then when I finally fell into this surrender, not long after that, he got better enough that he moved out of the house into some, low income housing on his own. And it was a miracle. And it was just like, so knowing that, that I actually embodied all of that and actually did that work was really huge. And I have
It was
so much more work to
massive.
do, but that was a big thing for
Yeah, I
me.
remember walking with you with that, and it was really
Yeah.
massive because it was a
Yeah.
big thing, and it was a situation where neither of you were really in your power. You know, he
Right.
was not in his power either, and you weren't in your power, and so it felt, for both, I felt really a very disempowering situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was so lovely was just seeing how you rose to that occasion, took control, you did the work, right? Because it's not easy. It's not easy. And
Hmm.
especially, I mean, I have myself an autistic daughter. It is not easy. And we care deeply for our children to navigate situations like that. And especially when they're, it's so intense that it impacts everything. It impacts home life, it impacts work, it impacts every level.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful to see how you navigated that situation and really began to use Skylar's teachings to take control of your life again and and really start to kind of create the separation of where he needed to start taking responsibility as well, which was
Yeah.
amazing. That was
Yeah.
beautiful. And it was such an incredible outcome, to because I think at one stage, I think you probably felt that he may never be able to leave home.
We really truly thought that. One of his therapists brought up the thought of living on his own, and I was like, "How on earth could this work?" And then through serendipity, a friend knew somebody who there was a place that was low income. He's on disability, so he was able to afford it on his own. And it's 4 blocks away from our house. It's um, very nice. Was newly renovated. It was like the perfect place. And he's only spent one night away from there. He still has his ups and downs, but it's just changed everything. It's changed our relationships. It's changed his relationship with his dad because he was afraid of his father's house, so now his dad could come to him, and it was just a miracle what we needed. So,
It was amazing,
yeah,
amazing. Um, Tell us what's happening with your business as well, because as you indicated, when this whole situation with your son was going on, that business wasn't getting that love in the same way.
no,
I mean, it was really like some days we were working, some days we were not. It was kind of the business was kind of as and when life allowed, and
yeah.
it wasn't really. I hope I'm not doing you a disservice saying it wasn't really being treated as a proper business at that
Oh, no,
point.
it wasn't. And to be honest, it's not fully where it should be. Um, I've had so many changes going on. I just recently got married and we've had some remodeling done. And so there's just been, it seems like there's one thing after the next coming in. And so I'm really trying to buckle down. I last fall I really got a membership group going, and that's been going well. And so now it's just a matter of being a lot more consistent with my scheduling, and I'm getting there, but it's just taking me a little bit more time. I added some new coursework to my list, but it's good. I've had some clients with the organizing, which I love to help people try to figure out what they don't need in their lives and how to make how to make their environment reflect their inner world and vice versa, because I believe that they mirror one another. And so when you have beautiful things to look at in your world, it reflects back in. And I truly believe that. I also truly believe that even just the simplest thing as rearranging your furniture can create a huge impact and shift
Yeah.
in your world. So those are the types of things I love to do with people. And I'm working on getting some more tarot reading. I've got some new ideas on how to get more tarot clients in, and I also joined our chamber locally, so I can get some business networking that way, which has been really nice too. So I'm just slowly plugging along and happy to have all the background knowledge. I love Divine Profits because all the communities are great, but that one is everybody is so helpful and kind, and you have a question, and your engagement in there is top notch, and can't, I just know that anytime I have some question, I'm supported in there, and that is amazing. That's like the best benefit. I mean, I love the course, and the course is great, but like that community, I
That
can't
community is worth
can't
entrance
replicate.
fee alone, for
Yep,
sure, for
for
sure.
sure.
Um, I am loving this conversation, Alyssa, because just hearing you talk about your business with such confidence,
Mm.
because if we scroll back to like 3 years ago, before you kind of jumped into divine planning abundant profits, I think there wasn't many areas in your business that didn't have question marks of it. Like, how do I do this? And how do I do that? And here you are, like, I've got a membership running and I've got ideas and I've joined this and I've done this. Like, you're being so proactive in your business now compared to where you were maybe like 3 years ago.
Oh
And
yeah.
and that's amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
that's such, I just really wanted to acknowledge that because that's huge. That's huge.
Thank you. And it's great having that support. I mean, I met somebody in that group who helped me with my website. I mean, like these are the things that like these are the nitty gritty that that
Yes.
the background stuff that. And I used to think I was such a great tech person, and I feel like I don't know if it's me or the tech, but it just doesn't seem to match up anymore like I used to. So having that help has been so amazing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. What are your sort of business plans for the future? Because you've got this, you've told us a little bit.
Mhm.
Are you looking at creating maybe a new course, or are you going to go down like maybe coursework around the Feng Shui, or what are the plans?
Yeah, that is a good question. That is something I've thought about doing. I've already taught some classes within my membership group. And so I'm slowly getting more comfortable with that format and sharing like that. Um, I'm learning some new, say, wellness paradigms that I had never seen before. And so I definitely would like to turn that into a course when I get through some of it. Because it's one of those things, again, it just resonated like, oh my God, this is this is right. This is exactly where I need to be. And then when I take those courses, I'm riveted. And it's just like when I was in your classes, just in your master classes, even the free things, just riveting. So like
Amazing.
anytime you have something free, I try to get in there and jump in and listen to as much as I can. And to be honest, you have such a lovely voice. It's like it's relaxing to me when I get to listen to you. So
Thank you very much. Do you know
you're
what?
welcome.
I want to share something on this podcast because I have a Scottish accent. There's no like getting away from that.
No.
But for many years prior to moving my business online, it was one of the things that held me back because I thought, oh my God, what if people don't understand how, my voice? And what if
Yeah.
they think that my Scottish accent's really annoying?
No.
And it was so funny. And isn't it so funny that we have these mind monkeys? right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and it turns out like the thing that I thought would be the thing that people would be like, oh God, that accent's so annoying, is actually the thing that people say, oh, it's so lovely, it's so nice. And I've had so many compliments on
Yeah.
my accent. But it's so funny because in my mind, for many, many years, it was like one of these things that like, oh, I don't know if I'll put myself out there in case people think it's annoying or and things. And it just shows you that the mind monkeys live just in your mind.
Yeah. This is true. It is hard because when you hear yourself talk, it never sounds the same. And so
No,
when
no.
you get that feedback, you're like, oh, but other people don't care.
I always think I sound quite normal until I go to like places like London where they speak
Oh,
very quite differently. And
yeah.
then, and then I really hear my Scottish accent. And I think, oh gee whiz, that it sounds like I have literally come from the country.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It is.
Um, Tell us, out of all the programs that you've been in, do you have a favorite?
Um, I loved LightWeb being able to really find my node. It's a nice tool for me to get grounded and centered and find it. And I don't even go there every day, but like I it's funny, I have it imagined it's like this very 1970s kind of boho chic kind of like, with macrame and funny lights.
Mhm.
And I've got like this lounger and then when I get in there, if I haven't been in a while, I imagine it comes up like in my head, it's like it's all dusty and I need to blow it off. It's just funny. I have this whole room set up on this light node. And so I tend to go in there and just chill there. It's very, very nice. So that's
Beautiful.
been fun. But the DPAP, I mean, hands down, that's been the most like useful like skills wise. LightWeb was more like, oops, sorry, spiritual, all of that. And I don't know which course you did what in, but there was like certain lessons that came out. And I think one of the biggest ones was like the masculine feminine energy and how to work in the feminine. That was a concept that did not come to me previously, and it was like a light bulb turned on. Like, why why am I working so hard when I can just allow things to come to me and then do the step? Why am I spinning my wheels? And I use that a lot, and just told a friend the other day, I'm like, stop trying to figure out how that's going to happen. Because then it's not like it's been amazing that. And then the like knowing source and void, like I knew that whole concept, but you really explained it so well. And like the source and the void, and source is love and light, void is the opposite or the absence of. And then another really huge thing was like taking radical responsibility,
It's
and
massive. It is
a
so massive.
huge, massive,
And I
and
think
I,
it's not just because we can bind that about, can't we? You must take radical personal responsibility. And, and I get told by people quite often, oh, but I do, but I do. And then in the next breath, you can see where they're not taking that
yeah,
responsibility. And so it's having that explained, I think, sometimes what it
yeah,
actually physically looks like. And it's one of these things, it's like the freedom and liberation, and it sucks all in one, because
yeah,
obviously when we finally like surrender to
hmm,
the radical personal responsibility, what we're really in reality saying is the buck stops with me, which
hmm,
gives us the power back to make the choices and the important choices that are important to us. But at the same time, we are the ones that have to make those choices. And
yeah, exactly. And it is a double-edged sword, but it's
mhm,
worth it. And
so worth it.
being empowered, there's nothing better than that. I had a friend posted, she's a spiritual teacher too, and she had just asked what is was it freedom or something like that. And I just answered, and it was kind of something that you had triggered to me, was that you always have a choice. One of them might be really shitty, or both of them might be really shitty, but you still have that choice. It's still you. Oh, she was asking what was free will, and that was what I said,
Oh,
because I
beautiful.
really think that is what free will is
Yes.
being able to choose something, even if it's not what you really want, but being able to make a choice of something. And that was really powerful, really powerful.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I would always define free will as choice, but also as well that sometimes there is no external choice, but there is
Right.
always an internal choice,
That that
right?
sums it up pretty perfectly.
Right,
Yes.
because like,
Excellent.
you can choose to feel really, really sad that there's no external choice and be like,
Right.
oh, I've no choice and woe is me. Or you can say, okay, well, this is the situation, but I'm going to choose to make the best of that, even though it's maybe a
Exactly.
crappy situation. That is the ultimate free will for me. And I think lines get so blurred with free will, doesn't it? I think a lot of people think free will is all about outer choices. And the
Hmm.
moment that there's no outer choices, they're out of free will. And I think, no, it's free will for me anyway, personally, so much bigger because it's all that inner choices as well.
Right. You have that choice. You have the choice to respond to the lack of those choices, external choices. You have the choice on how you're going to react to that. And are you going to be positive? Are you going to learn from it? Are you going to look for the best out of it? Or are you going to just go down kicking and screaming? And that's not how I roll, but there are lots of people who do, and that's their choice.
It's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
I think, the radical personal responsibility in my own journey has definitely been a real route to freedom for me. It's freed me in my daily life of
Hmm.
where before I could maybe sometimes, and I like you had challenges like you had with your son and things like that. I've had challenges within my family life, and I also have an autistic child, and it is challenging, but the real freedom that I've gained through the radical personal responsibility has always allowed me to navigate challenging situations with so much more grace. Is that something that
Right.
you found over the last 3 years?
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. And it's just, yeah, it's been being able to take that and sorry. I
That's okay. No
lost
worries.
that thought. We'll just edit that one. Sorry. Um I don't remember the question now. Sorry.
We'll start again.
Okay, let's
So,
start again.
so over the last 3 years, have you found that radical personal responsibility has really given you like a route to freedom as well and
Oh,
made you more free in your life?
yes. It it allowed me to just stop blaming external. I mean, I could blame my son for being a problem, but you know, his problem is his problem. So I'm taking responsibility for my own happiness, my own um self-care, and and being able to differentiate that and being like, okay, that's your problem. You need, I help, but he gets to fix that, and then I am able to take that responsibility for myself of just being able to continue being that good mom, because when he was really struggling, I was no good to anybody. It felt like, and so yeah, that really helped a lot, knowing that I had more power than I thought I did.
Beautiful.
Hmm.
It's been really epic to see your whole kind of journey over the last 3 years and everything unfolding. And of course, you mentioned just at the beginning of the podcast that you had recently got married. So congratulations on that
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank
And
you.
that's amazing as well. And that's such a lovely thing as well. And I just wanted to ask you a little bit about Feng Shui because that's your like ballpark and what you do in the world.
Yeah.
So anybody who's listening to this, how would you define Feng Shui if somebody was like, well, I'm new to this, I'm not really sure what it is, or maybe they've heard it, but they're not really like sure. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Feng Shui is an ancient Chinese system of arranging your home. Um, I subscribe more to a more Western, more modernized version of it, where it's a lot less formal, but very similar in concept. But basically, what it comes down to is that there's chi or energy everywhere. It moves through your home, and it needs to have flow. And so when you have a lot of things cluttering up in your home, the energy just can't flow as well. Or if it's
Mm,
really dark in your home, or and then it also talks about how every home is kind of divided into 9 areas, and each area represents different parts of your life, and you can enhance or tweak those areas in order to help make a more positive um, outcome in your life. And so I had found it um, a long time ago, and I loved the concept, and I redid our entire house because we're having trouble selling it. And then I decided to just, make it my own, but also incorporate these things. And then we were able to sell. And then I kind of forgot about it until we moved into this house, and there was a place in between we lived. And when I moved into this house, I realized I got a job like that. And then I got another job, like a promotion like that. And I was just like, I found the books, and I'm looking at my house. I'm like, it is perfectly set up. Like my whole foyer, where the career area is, like, I didn't even have to touch it, and it was already working. And I'm like,
right. Okay.
okay. So what I like to really narrow it down to, besides the chi, is it's um, inspired intentional actions in your home. Like you want to make sure you're inspired, and you want to make sure it's very intentional. Like, I am putting this here because this represents wealth, or I am putting this here because it represents, my career. But I don't make it so like you have to like totally redo your house. Like, these are little tiny hidden trinket things that you can put in places that don't cost very much money. And then, you can once, but the biggest thing is, of course, just kind of getting that clutter out of the way, and really knowing that you have things in your home that you love and that are very useful to you, and not just a lot of things that don't mean anything. So that was
I
a
love
long
that.
way of saying that, but yeah.
No, no, no. I love it. I love it. And I think anybody listening will have like a real gist of what it is. Because I think
Okay.
some people, if they're new to Feng Shui, they think it's like, oh, what's a bit of furniture moving gonna do? But it can
Yeah.
really, it's about that vibe, isn't it? It's about that,
Yeah.
sometimes I think everybody is aware of Feng Shui, even though they say that they're not aware of it. But everybody's walked into a home and been like, oh, what is happening here? They feel the
Yeah.
atmosphere. And
Yeah.
then other times we walked into a place and we like instantaneously relax and we're like, oh, this feels nice. I love the vibe
Yeah.
in this place. And I think that's what, that's an awareness of Feng Shui, whether we're aware of Feng Shui or not. It's just
Right.
that
Right.
it's just that awareness of like the vibe and the space. And we
Yeah.
might say, well,
Yeah.
this place has got such great energy, or, oh, I don't
Right.
like the energy there. But, what is it that's causing that? And obviously that's where Feng Shui comes in. It kind of literally gives an explanation for all of that stuff. And
Right.
which I think is so potent and powerful.
it's
And
it's empowering because you can take control over. You mean, like, oh, well, this my office is in my wealth and abundance area, so I have quite a few, crystals and things that enhance this area, the items, the colors. But some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I have to paint my whole house and redo all these things." I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Just little subtle but intentional tweaks." And then, if that doesn't work, then we add on to that. But I think people think that it's going to be this very expensive and difficult thing, and it doesn't
Mm,
have to be. Let's put it that way. I mean, if you have a very cluttered house, it takes a little bit more. And my goal with helping people with that is empowering them, because there's a lot of trauma involved, I think, when you aren't able to make decisions about your things and clear your space. I think there's
yeah.
some different, like, what was it like when you were growing up? Were you punished if you didn't clean your room? Well, why would you ever want to clean? You know? So there are just
Yes.
different aspects to looking at how you make decisions and why you maybe can't make those decisions. And there's a lot of power in having somebody help you make those choices, at least to get started. And then once you feel more confident, you can manage it on your own. That's my hope for people, because I don't want them to spend, I mean, I want them to hire me, but I don't want them to to break their bank,
Hmm.
because of it, because I want them to have that power and ability to do it themselves one day.
That's amazing. That's
Mhm.
powerful. I think, yeah, I'm just hearing you talking about that empowerment and bringing people on that journey of empowerment so that they can do those things for themselves and put those cures in for themselves. It's very interesting what you said about trauma there as well. And I think also as well, there's a lot of wealth conditioning in
Mm,
that as well.
mhm,
Like I remember one time being in my wardrobe and I was determined I was going to clear out, and I was aware there was a lot of things in my wardrobe that I wasn't just really using or wearing.
mhm.
And so I started and I thought, right, that's it, I'm going to get rid of loads and I'm going to donate and I'm going to, put to the charity shops and things. And after about an hour of solidly being in there, I not got rid of very many items. And I was hearing myself going, well, I need to keep this just in case. And Skylar really challenged me and said, just in case what?
Mhm.
And it stopped me dead in my tracks. And I thought, just in case what? And it was such a light bulb moment for me because I realized in that moment I was planning on not being able to afford a replacement in the future.
Right.
And it was a huge pivotal moment in my
Yeah.
money journey because it was this moment where I realized, hang on, wait a minute, I'm actually planning on being broke at a future date. I'm planning on being just as broke as I am now in that future date at that time where that was my reality at the time. And I thought, oh my goodness, this cannot be happening. And I thought, no more just in case. And so
Yeah.
I thought, because I realized that my just in case was a lack of trust for the universe.
A
I
hundred
wasn't
percent.
trusting that I was going to
Yeah.
have that money. And I thought, no, I've got to change this. So I put my big girl pants on, the ones that weren't going to the charity shop. And I literally, and I got 5 black bags out of that, 1 bag of shoes and 4 bags of clothes out of that wardrobe. And it felt amazing.
Mhm.
And about 4 months later, I had a thing and I thought, oh God, that top I got rid of would have been perfect for that. But I needed to go and replace it. And the money was there in my bank account. And I can't even tell you the thrill that ran through me. And I knew, that the only reason that I had the money in my bank account to replace that top so effortlessly, so easily, was because I had been willing to trust the universe that abundance would be there at a future date. And there
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
because I had willingly let go of abundance that was no longer serving me.
Hmm.
Because let's face it, when we're letting go of clothes and things that we've once upon a time used, it is an abundance that's been there for us, but it's an abundance that's come to its end of its life with us.
Hmm.
And I realized that my willingness to let go of that and let someone else have it was
Yeah.
massive. In
Yeah. And I believe that is when you let go of things, you make room for more of different things. So whenever you can let go, whatever you can let go of, know that something better is going to come in and take that. It's not like it's going to fill all, it doesn't have to fill all the way back up, but you're just making room for better items to come to you or whatever you are looking for. But you're exactly right. If you aren't able to let it go, there's no trust that you are going to be in a better place next week or next year or whenever that is. And I absolutely agree with that. That's a
it was
great
it was
money
it's,
tip.
yeah, it was a huge eye opener for me. It was
Shift.
huge. Because
Hmm.
I realized that there I was doing all the money work. There I was putting in the effort in the job, everything. But yet
Yeah.
secretly I was sabotaging myself because I was secretly, my actions were not backing up what I was, the actions that I was taking, that I was
Yeah.
aware of that I was taking. But the subtext
Yeah.
actions were not backing that up. In fact, they were just saying, oh, we're planning on being just as broke in the future. And that
Yeah.
was like that was such a huge eye opener, realizing, no, what am I doing? I can't keep planning being in the same situation. I've got to plan being in a better one.
That's right.
If I'm going to invite that energy in. And I know it was game changing for me. Alyssa,
Yeah.
this has been such a beautiful conversation. Tell people where they can find you, whether they want to book you for like a tarot reading or whether they would love to have a Feng Shui consultation for them in their home. Tell them where they can find you on the interwebs.
Yes. www.soulsistercoach.com. And then if you go to the socials, on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and it's at Soul Sister Coach.
Beautiful.
So you can find me at those specific. I have a business page on Facebook and a group membership that's free, but you have to ask to join it. And then I also have the paid membership where I do a lot of teaching classes, free group tarot readings, and that sort of thing. So it's pretty fun.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's wonderful.